Well, welcome everyone. So glad to be together. I was really looking forward to our time together and what I'm going to share today. And of course, it's absolutely perfect that my cat Raja has shown up on the scene because it's really relevant of what we're going to talk about. And so always good to be together. And I really respect and honor you and your willingness to take time and your own self care. And as we are our best selves, we step out into our world and offer that. So, in this next 30 minutes, we're going to enjoy some really amazing information about feeling better and how to instantly and quickly regulate ourselves. So it's always fun to check in and be curious, like where we are right now. Like right now, I've got a kitty on my lap who definitely has a desire to connect. So let's take a moment and check our energy level. That would be our life force, how much vitality we are experiencing in a moment. And zero is neutral. So we can be subpar and we can be above neutral. Also, our mental capacity, maybe our ability to focus, have clear thoughts, and move forward with that intentionality. Our emotions or feelings, like how we are in our emotional body, how much regulation there is. And then, of course, our physical body, how strong and vibrant and well rested and nourished is my physical body. So it can be how it feels to you, like in your experience. It could be maybe how you see yourself in these categories, or maybe even what it sounds like, what other people say to you, or what you're saying to yourself. So, as we go forward, we've been using this particular slide quite a bit. And today we're going to bring our focus down here again to this self care, being nurtured. And you can see I amplified oxytocin. So, today we're going to be talking about neurotransmitters. And the neurotransmitters, this is the biochemical cascade in our brains that gives us a sense of well being and what we might even call happiness. So we've talked a lot about the vagus nerve, bringing that parasympathetic online, that rest and digest, and also the social engagement that comes with that. And then also that has us amplify our desire and our ability to connect with others. And we're going to talk about how and why that is so important and how that helps us regulate stress and supports our healing, and then actually makes us be able to have even greater thinking, cognition, and access to our intuition. So one might have a question, what's the magic to actually having a happy brain? I love the whole understanding that we have brains and they're um, present with us through developmental process, right? So we all have the reptilian brain, right? The brain stem. This is that survival, fight or flight that moves into this midbrain, subcortical or limbic brain that has more of the emotional experience. And this is where the trauma gets encoded. And then we have the development of the cortex, and we're familiar with that prefrontal cortex, our ability to have executive function, think things through. And we as human beings have a very well developed cortex and prefrontal cortex. And evolutionary, it's the third part to come online. So there's a big part of us that is run by this mammalian and reptilian brain that happens automatically, right? We've talked about the autonomic nervous system, meaning it runs automatically. So today we're going to explore a little bit the magic about our brains and how we can help regulate that. So this is a wonderful resource called the Happy Brain. And again, today we're going to talk about the power of oxytocin. And so oxytocin is something that some of us might be familiar with, and it's created here in the hypothalamus, and it's then stored and secreted to our bloodstream, right? So the bloodstream carries these hormones and biochemical cascades to the whole body. So oxytocin is both a brain thing and a body thing. And then it's actually released from the posterior pituitary gland. And sometimes people talk about the pituitary gland being the master gland. It's telling the system what it needs and what to do. So oxytocin is amazing. It's a biochemistry, right? It's a neurotransmitter that influences many physiological responses and even our behaviors. And so, very much in our social engagement and also our desire to mate and connect and have intimacy and sexuality. So, this is both for men and for women. So, what's really cool about oxytocin is when a mother's giving birth and a baby's born, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of intensity that's put on the organism, right? The whole system, the nervous system, and the brain. And in that process of birth, there's this huge surge of oxytocin to then relieve the stress, both for the mother and for the baby. And so we can look at oxytocin as assisting in neuroregulation and stress management. And then it creates the desire to connect and bond. And bonding is imperative for our survival. So it's one of these wonder drugs that naturally is part of who we are, there from the very beginning of our inhabiting life and the human experience. And we can take a look at how it actually regulates our sense of well being and happiness on a regular basis and how we can tap into that. So, hail to oxytocin. We're so glad to have it. So, we're going to go each week coming up through these main neurotransmitters. And today we're focusing on oxytocin. So, it gives a feeling of trust and it motivates us to build and sustain, right? So to reach out, connect, and keep going in our relationships. And then those relationships get connected and bonded, just like what wires together, fires together in our neural network. We then create a connection or a bonding that lasts through time. And so I felt like this was so imperative to start with oxytocin. It's right there the moment we're born. And also, we're renegotiating our relationships, right? Everything we've been through in this last year and a half and more, we're renegotiating our relationship with ourselves, with the people that are close to us, with our neighbors, with our coworkers, with our clients, with our patients, and the world at large. And oxytocin can help us through this stress cycle and also the recalibration and regulation as we make more connections and are questioning threats and can I trust and how I can build sustainable relationships going forward. Because for many of us, relationships have changed during the pandemic. So, good news, we're going to step into this together. So, I love this, two little brains sharing their connections, sharing their hearts. So, our mammalian brain, right? That's the part of us that's an animal, right? All mammals, right? Our brains grow, mature, and even heal in safe, connected relationships, right? So, it can be the relationship with ourselves, but then it's the relationship with other. And other can come in many forms. But to realize there's going to be two brains, two nervous systems, two organisms, two living entities that are in relationship with each other. So, oxytocin creates again this bonding chemical signal for both our brains and our bodies to both develop and then thrive, right? So, when we talk about expansion calls, we're talking about thriving and moving beyond survival and really expanding our ability for well being, utilizing our gifts, connection, and having a life that's meaningful and impactful in our world. So, humans, that's us, we're also animals. We need connection and the release of oxytocin, right? This neurotransmitter of bonding. It allows us to relate to ourselves and to others in ways that are trusting, attached, and safe, right? So, sometimes we're doing healing work and neuroregulation, the vagus nerve and psychosensory touch and the yawn and stretch that I've taught to help regulate our nervous system. And a lot of that regulation is our relationship with ourself to ourself, but our relationship with ourselves to other, right? In other dynamics. So there's these categories, right? Where we're in relationship, right? There's physicality, right? The proximity of shared space and intimacy, how close people are to us and how much we share. Then there's the mental process of sharing our ideas and thoughts. Then there's emotionally sharing our feelings, right? Is that safe? And is someone able to hold the container of presence with us when we share our feelings of what's going on with us? And then, of course, spiritually, this is where our values and beliefs come in. So we as human beings, even at a animal mammalian level, need to have relationships that are meaningful physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So let's take a look at this, how it plays out in the animal kingdom, right? Animal kingdom, and yet we're part of the animal kingdom. We're a mammal just like the other mammals are. So stability of aggregations, right? So that's the coming together, is variable for different mammals. Here comes a mammal coming in to connect. So group stability can range from temporary, so it's there for a short period of time, to persistent, meaning it's there for a long period of time or for a lifetime. So there are many mammals other than humans that mate for life, right? Among many of these names that we refer to for animal aggregations are gaggles, right? So we've got geese that come together, they're gaggles. So ungulates are like herds, right? So I've got a herd of elephants, right? It could be cattle, it could be horses, right? It could be deer. And then we have pods, right? Whales, right? They're together. Schools of fish, right? So we see this in so many mammalian groups. So we've heard that term, right? Birds of a feather flock together. This is part of that subcortical mammalian brain, and it's really a survival mechanism. That's right, Raja, a survival mechanism. So the bonding and connecting is both for survival. We have less chance of being eaten by a predator or attacked by a predator if we're in a group, but it also regulates our nervous system. So babies can't regulate their nervous system yet. They don't come with that. So they're regulating off mother, they're regulating off caregivers, they're regulating off the supportive environment, right? So you'll see this in animals that when they've gotten astray or lost, when they come back into the herd or the group, they usually head to the middle of the group and they're kind of bathing their brain and nervous system in the group field, the group nervous system, both for safety and also for regulation. So, this is part of instinctually what happens within mammals. So, it provides safety and it provides bonding. And so, we often think about it happening within a given species, but we've often seen many, and there's some really beautiful picture here that unlikely species or animals bond together. And so just notice what's happening in your heart, your mind, your emotions, and particularly your nervous system when you look at these pictures of animals, mammals, that's us, connected, right? Feeling safe enough to relax, to be this close, to be this intimate, particularly the birds, right? The bird with the kitty and the duck with the dog. There is enough safety, and the duck with the lamb, right? There is enough safety within their nervous system to be in some parasympathetic rest and digest, connection, and bonding. Just notice what that's like for you and what you're experiencing through visual, right? So even watching or looking at things where there's bonding. That's why we love the kitty videos. We love the dog posts, all the stuff on Instagram and Facebook, because it's giving us oxytocin and it's connecting with the mammal part of us that is seeking or regulating through safe bonding connection. So we as humans, right? We're mammals. So there's tribes. So we as humans sometimes have more generalized terms when we get together. There might be a colony, a den, a family, a group, or a pack, right? So in Vegas, there was the rat pack, right? When people came and colonized areas throughout the globe, they came from one region to another, they set up colonies, right? We talk about families. These are our genetic lines and groups that come together, right? So there's even greater diversity in the names that we use or the labels. of social groups. So we might identify a group as a class. So a class could be first grade, second grade, third grade, right? Class could be socioeconomic. So then there's congregation, right? So this is where people come together with similar values or beliefs that are feeding into their needs spiritually. And so the pictures of the family worshiping together, and you see there's multi generations there, right? The children, the parents, the grandparents, and they're being bathed in oxytocin. Their nervous systems are regulating, coming together as a group, coming together in a collective environment with shared beliefs and shared intentions. The one above is great because this has a choir. The choir could be secular, it could be spiritual or religious. This group is regulating through singing. Remember that external, the exhale that's elongated is a neuroregulation for the vagus nerve. So when we sing in a group, we're getting oxytocin, we're regulating our vagus nerve. So isn't it amazing that there's all these natural experiences that we're having? I love the group down below. This is a group of street musicians, right? They're coming together with a shared interest. They're sharing their skills, their talents together as a group, and then they're amplifying it out into the community. And again, when we blow on a wind instrument, there's a longer exhale and it's neuroregulating, right? Their autonomic nervous system, sympathetic, parasympathetic, but they're also getting oxytocin, right? Stress management, bonding, a feeling of belonging. So when we go over here to the sports team, kids very young neuroregulate with and off each other, right? In the classroom, in this sports activity. And sometimes their teams become more important than their families. So in neuroregulation and oxytocin, we're going to look for it wherever we can get it. So if we're not getting it at home and we can get it in a team or a group environment, we're going to naturally, like an animal, gravitate to that. That makes sense to our mammalian brain, right? It makes sense to our survival and our psychobiological emotional needs. And so you see these kids not only together with a common interest, but they're actually touching, they're bonded, they're huddled together in a group. Then we see the term platoon or squad or regiment or corps, right? This is where we see what happens in the military. Many of you know I work with veterans with PTSD here in San Diego, and they refer to their fellow uh, compadres, right, from their platoon or squad as their brothers and sisters, right, their family. They have been bonded, they have each other's back. That feeling of oxytocin and security is required and imperative for our brains and our nervous system. Right. So that's one thing that happens even when someone completes the military, they are still identified and very connected with the oxytocin, the happiness, the well-being, and sense of belonging that was created. Down here, I have a picture that's got kind of a couple of fun aspects. It has a motorcycle club, right? So people join clubs where there's shared interest, but they join it for the oxytocin bath. And then this motorcycle club, each group has displaying their flag, right? So they're in the bigger aggregate loving motorcycles. Within that is the identification of county, town, state, or nation. And this gives an explanation of the importance of our social behaviors and our need to belong that are every aspect of our human life. So, from the moment we're born, we need oxytocin to the moment we take our last breath and we get our angel wings. There is a fundamental need for survival, for well being of oxytocin through connection. And these are some of the ways that we meet that need on a daily basis. So, let's look at some of the other ways that we meet that need. And let's look at what oxytocin is and what it isn't, like what we're missing. So when we're lacking oxytocin, we can feel lonely or stressed. Many people have felt this last year and a half. They felt lonely and stressed because we haven't come together and gotten the same oxytocin, the bonding or love hormone. There can be a lack of motivation low energy or fatigue. We can feel disconnected, anxiety increases, and that anxiety and high cortisol level in our blood impacts our sleep, it impacts our digestion. So there's this whole like cycle of events that happen when our oxytocin drops, and we can think that there's something wrong with us or that we have a problem, and simply our biochemistry and our neuroregulation is needing support. So these are ways we can increase the happiness level. So physical touch, right? So we can do that with our own self touch, right? Psychosensory, socialization, coming together with others, getting any kind of massage, body work, any kind of touch modalities, acupuncture, listening to music, exercising, particularly in a group, cold shower. Remember, we talked about the cold water on the face activates the vagus nerve, helps give us parasympathetic and brings our social engagement online, and also meditation. So let's look at some examples of this to boost our oxytocin. Right. So here we have a family group. They're together, they're physically together, but they're also watching a show like the Olympics have been going on. So they're having a shared experience, cheering for their team. So they're in close proximity, they're excited, it's safe, and they're celebrating together. They're celebrating a shared interest. So that's a huge oxytocin boost, right? We've got two friends walking together with an pet, right? Here's an example of some social distancing with masks, but meeting the need for oxytocin, right? Being able to connect with nature, getting some physical exercise, being with a friend, and also a beloved companion, a dog. Perfect examples of boosting oxytocin. Down here, I love this picture. We've got the quilting group. My grandmother used to do lots of quilting, and the women would get together in the church and they would do things together, right? So this is a group coming together, shared interest, safe, creative, bonding, able to share their interests, their emotional experiences, and work together on an outcome. Perfect, huge dose of oxytocin. Love this other picture, men in the park playing chess, right? Again, coming together out in nature, shared interests, huge oxytocin. Nervous systems are getting regulated. Stress is getting managed. A feeling of belonging through shared interests. Imperative for us in the human experience. Bike riding. So remember, exercise, being out in nature, and it's shared. They're having a shared experience. Has anyone ever meditated individually or in a group? And you find in a group, the field is amplified. It's because we're coming together, we're neuroregulating with each other, and we're also amplifying the oxytocin. And then I love this last picture, grandparents connecting with their grandchildren, and how many of us can relate to this experience over this last year and a half. Our only way to connect was through technology. And guess what? It happens to also increase oxytocin. We may feel separate, but our mirror neurons and our brain and our nervous system feels the boost. I know when I connect with my family, I have some family in China, I have family in England, I have family in France, I have family back east, family in the Midwest. When I connect with them over a virtual platform, I feel the boost of oxytocin. May not be as wonderful as being in person, and it's still neuroregulating and boosting oxytocin for stress management, sense of greater well-being. So getting a facial, getting massage, reflexology, acupuncture, listening to music boosts our oxytocin, even self-massage, right? That's why the psychosensory touch actually can boost our oxytocin and give a greater sense of well-being. So many of you know I've done body work for 32 years, still do body work. If you need some oxytocin boost, call me. I'll get you in. We'll get some really safe, loving, healthy neuroregulation and oxytocin for your brain and your body. So when we look at this is humans. We're animals connecting with other animals. So we see neuroregulation, two mammals coming together, just like we saw the animals with another animal. Well, this is an animal with an animal, but we as human animals are with other mammals. So notice what's happening in your nervous system. Notice that all of these are representative of a parasympathetic ah, state of joy, right? Well being, connection, neuroregulation. Notice that the humans and the animals are both happy. They're both getting regulated. Like right now, I have a kitty on my lap. He came in to connect. He came in to be part of the oxytocin exchange, sharing neuroregulation. And so just take a moment and think about the times in your childhood, your adolescence, and in your adult life, how good it felt to connect with another living being, particularly an animal, right? So many of us have really fond memories. Now, some of us had little shock moments, right, where an animal got scared and we got scared. But also, I want you to take a moment to just kind of down regulate any of those with some psychosensory touch and touch into the beautiful moments. Oh, when you got to connect with another beloved, particularly from the animal kingdom, feeling that in your body, your nervous system, and in your brain. Like I always say, I don't know what I would do without my fur babies. I have a little puppy, Ginger, and I have a kitty cat, Raja, and they are some of my most endeared neuroregulation, oxytocin boosting friends, right? Again, this is why we like to watch kitty videos or doggy videos or anything like that. I got a little cat hair on my face from his tail earlier. So just feel into that. And we experience that even when we watch videos. So I love this. Keep calm and cuddle animals. So it might be animals that we know as pets, and it also could be other human animals, right? So take a moment, do a little psychosensory touch, reflecting on beautiful times of connection, right? Beautiful times of connection with family, with friends. Do a little vagus nerve activation behind the ears, stretching the ears into that simba right above the ear canal. Or yawn and stretch and asking, what if we activate more and more our ability to heal, to self regulate, to have well being and happiness through oxytocin, right? What if we grow our capacity for goodness? Goodness for ourselves and sharing it with others. So, happiness, right, is spending time boosting our oxytocin with people and animals that we love and creating memories that literally last a lifetime. We can tap into those neural memories and also boost our oxytocin. So, let's do a reflective process and check in. Curious of where am I now in my energy, my mental focus and attention, my emotional body, and my physical body as I reflect and connect in with the power of oxytocin, the power of safe bonding, the power of neuroregulation, and being able to rest into and really regulate what we all need in the deep part of our brain. So just give an awareness on some metrics or your self awareness. So again, what if we activate consciously this ability to experience well being and heal and grow and evolve and share that? What if we consciously grow our capacity for goodness, spending quality time, right? For some people, this is their love language, quality time with good friends. It could be animal friends, it could be family friends, it could be extended family friends that gives a soothing and healing effect for our mind, our hearts, and our whole physiology. So, taking a moment and just know that I'm sending out from the depths of my heart and my limbic brain, right? My brain that knows that it is safe to connect with you, that I can trust you. It's safe, connect with myself. I can trust myself. So I just hugged you in my thoughts, and I hope you were able to feel the safe, embracing connection and the power of oxytocin. So, as you know, I'm here in San Diego, body work, coaching, training, teaching, many, many ways that I can support you and all of us as we neuroregulate and connect and heal and step into our lives more fully. So, our next call is August 17th. I welcome you and look forward to sharing that time together. So I thought it would be fun to just give you a little hello from one of my love bugs. It's Raja. He's just a wonderful little kitty. We've had him for, gosh, how long have you been with us, sweetie? 8 years. And he's a wonderful, wonderful companion. And I thought for fun, it would be nice for you to meet Ginger. This is little Ginger. She's our little sweetheart. We just love her. Thank you, sweetie, so much. And she also loves to play with her brothers. So those two animals have a great relationship. And then, of course, she gets to be part of all the intimacy and relationship and sharing that we have here in our home. So blessings to you always, and look forward to next time. Thanks, Ginger. Bye. And so take a moment and just feel the beauty of that, the power of connection. The moment we're born, oxytocin is there supporting us in our stress management and our neuroregulation. It's available to us anytime. And remember, it's going to ebb and flow. We're going to get a boost and it's going to drop off. So it's normal for there to be the flow. So when we feel the fullness of oxytocin and we feel it beginning to soften and reduce, we know that we can always do that. So when I wake up in the morning, part of my gratitude practice is really focusing on all the beautiful connections. I connect with nature, I connect with the breath of life, I connect with my animals, I connect with my partner, I connect with my family, even if I'm not with them personally, and I can do it in my mind. I connect with my friends and clients and really amplify the state of well-being and happiness and regulation and resourcing for my day and my week. So namaste, always great to be with you. Blessings in the highest and best way. Until next time, thank you.